So this is the brand new Galaxy Z Flip 4, and I'm excited about this device because it solves one of the biggest pain points I've had with the Z Flip 3. This was my side piece, my second phone in my pocket throughout this year, and I love this phone so much, but I couldn't make it my main device because of the battery life. It just wasn't good. There'd be days where I'd barely make it through the entire day. It just wasn't a good experience. In fact, it's one of the first phones in a long time where I started to get battery anxiety, a thing that I thought was of the past. Now, I know there's one dude out there who's gonna be like, well, I got good battery life. All you have to do is turn off location sharing, turn off Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, turn down the screen brightness to 0.5%, use night goggles so you can see the screen, and then only use the phone on Saturday between 4 and 4:15 p.m. Now, if you have to do that with any smartphone in general, that's not a good thing. That means your battery life is trash, okay? That's something you don't want to feel. But they solved it with this new one. The battery life is so much better. I have zero issues getting through the entire day. And this is achieved with two simple things. One, they increased the battery size ever so slightly. And number two, the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 that's inside of the Z Flip 4 is way more efficient than the Snapdragon 888 that's inside the Z Flip 3. Now, there is one thing you should expect with your phone if you're just getting into flips, is that there is some degradation of the spine over time. One thing I noticed is that the crease, which is still visible in both devices, starts to deepen the more you use your phone. So every time you open and close it, this little crease you see here gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, it looks the same as the Z Flip 4 when you're staring directly at it, but if you run your finger over it, you can tell it's a bit deeper. And because of that, the phone is no longer straight. I don't know if you guys can know this, but the spine is crooked, right? Like, especially when I compare it to the Z Flip 4, which is like perfectly straight right now. The crease is not as deep, it feels solid, but look at the spine. It's absolutely straight. And if I take this one, I don't know if you guys can see this. This one has a curve. So keep that in mind when you use it. It's not gonna break, but it's something that's gonna happen. And I bet you $5, it's probably gonna happen with the Z Fold 4 as well. Now, I do appreciate the small design changes. The one thing I didn't like about the Z Flip 3 was it was a little slippery, right? Like, if you wanted to rock this without a case, this finish is a lot more slippery than the matte finish they have on the new Z Fold 4. It's also the sides of the phone. Like, this is rounded off. It's a bit more slippery. They squared off the edges, and when you have it in your hand, it feels absolutely solid. I'd feel comfortable carrying this without a case, but I wouldn't feel comfortable carrying the Z Flip 3 without one. Now, since I mentioned cases, I do want to talk about Samsung's leather case. Now, it's a beautiful case, okay? And it feels great. The leather's fantastic. But the problem with this is that it adds extra bulk. You gotta remember, the Z Flip lineup in general is a thick device when it's closed. In fact, it's actually thicker than the Galaxy Z Fold 4. And when you add a case like the leather case, it has this buckle on top and it provides extra heft you just don't need in your pocket. Now, I understand why they're doing it. They're placing this buckle over the spine to protect it. But based on my experience, this spine is so solid that even if you were to drop the phone, there wouldn't be any issues. This buckle is just not needed. Plus, when you hold the case in your hand, it doesn't wrap around the phone like it does on a candy bar, like the S22, for example. It's a bit looser, so it feels a bit squishier. With this Aramid case on the Galaxy Z Flip 3, I don't think Samsung sells one for the 4 yet. It's thin, right? It doesn't have that belt buckle. It just wraps around the entire phone easier. It just feels better, especially the material, and it's also thinner. Now, it's unfortunate that Samsung does not sell one. The only other one that I've seen so far is from the later case, the one that Unbox Therapy makes. So my suggestion is grab something like that rather than this. Now, I honestly think Samsung's onto something with the Z Flip 4, and I think the only thing that's truly holding it back is the camera system. Not that the new camera system is bad, it's actually an improvement over the previous one, but it's the form factor, you know? Like the fact that you can place this on your desk in flex mode and then use it as a device to take conference calls because you don't have to use anything to hold it up, or if you want to like take a picture of yourself, you can use the cover screen to line up the shot, or you can literally, and this is how I use it to hold video, is literally hold it like a camcorder and move around. Like that just brings back some serious nostalgic feelings from the late 80s and early 90s. I think the only thing holding them back is having the exact same camera system as the S22 Plus or Galaxy Z Fold 4. I think in the future, if they can find a way to do that, this will become the ultimate camera phone. Now, thankfully, even though they're still using a 12 megapixel wide sensor for the main camera, and same holds true for the ultra wide, it still has the exact same 10 megapixel selfie camera. It takes great shots, but there is an improvement with the 12 megapixel wide, and it's the most important one. It takes the camera from the Z Flip 3 from a mid-range camera to a upper mid-range camera. I still don't think it's as good as the Z Fold 4, but it's a big difference. I feel like there's a lot of consistency now, and you notice it when you compare these two phones together. The Z Fold 4, or Z Flip 4 rather, just takes better photos. One area where I noticed a massive difference was when it came to nighttime photography. With the Z Flip 3, it just took a lot longer to take the photo. You would notice that night mode would have to take, let's say, 5 seconds compared to 2 seconds on the Z Flip 4. But if you're someone who's trying to reduce how often you use your phone, I think the Z Flip lineup in general is gonna improve your life, because every time you wanna access something, you gotta open the phone. Like, don't get me wrong, the cover screen, which is the exact same size, screen resolution, and all that, is the same as the Z Flip 3, really acts as notification triage. You know, like you get a call, or rather a text message, you can quickly check it here, and if it's important, you'll open up your device. Rest of the widgets are kind of useless. Like, fine, you can control your music, which is always important, and you can check the weather quickly and use the recorder, but besides that, there's really not much else to use. I think Samsung has a big opportunity to really create some important widgets that no other phone has, but in the meantime is really just there to control notifications. And I found that because of this, I was using my phone less often, and that's good, right? Like, we should try to not use our phones as often because it'll improve our life, right? We don't need to be on our phones 24 hours a day. But I always appreciate going from this small form factor to this massive 6.7-inch display. And you gotta remember, this is a 6.7-inch display that's not wide. It's a skinny tall one, right? 120 hertz. Adaptive refresh rate from 1 to 120, which also helps with battery life. But you have a lot of vertical space, which is really good for reading, you know? And it's dynamic AMOLED, so when I'm watching movies and content on this, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Now, I do appreciate 25-watt fast charging, so I can get up to 50% in just 30 minutes, which is a new improvement with the Z Flip 4. And I do appreciate the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. It doesn't feel much faster than the Z Flip 3, and the reason being is because Samsung has to do a lot of throttling on this phone. Like, this is not a gaming device. It gets hot pretty quick just because it's a very small form factor. In fact, this is one of the only Samsung devices in the premium space that doesn't support DeX. It's unfortunate because to a lot of people who can't afford buying a computer and a tablet, DeX has become part of their life. They can essentially take their phone into a desktop experience. So if you're expecting that kind of stuff from the Z lineup or Z Flip lineup in general, you're just not gonna get it. You gotta go with the Fold or one of Samsung's other Galaxy devices. Now, the software experience has been solid, no glitches, no crashes, none of that stuff. Everything is just as good as it was on my Z Flip 3. I'm not having any issues there. Unfortunately, you still see the screen protector on the top. I mean, it looks yucky. I don't like screen protectors. I wish they could have, I don't know, brought the screen protector all the way up like they did with the Galaxy Z4, so it looks like it's part of the entire display, but unfortunately, you're gonna see it. Now, I usually never recommend upgrading year over year, but I feel like because Samsung has such aggressive trade-in deals and they give you so much value back for your previous device, the battery upgrade alone is worth it for a lot of people. I had battery anxiety on the Z Flip 3, but I didn't have it with the Z Flip 4. And I think if battery life is one of your most important things to have, then I think the upgrade is absolutely worth it. I truly feel like Samsung is onto something. I'm not gonna make this my second or main device this year just because I'm doing that with the Fold 4, and this is a device I haven't used since 2019. So I already put my review out on this guy, which will be in the description down below. But yeah, if you're getting into foldables, I feel like the Z Flip lineup is the good one to start with. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.